So this is a video impact part 2, how to create, edit and promote video content. And the talk should take around about 45-50 minutes at the absolute most. And then we'll be opening it to a Q&A at the end. So Andy Green is video strategist, works closely with us, whereas we specialise in promoting video. Andy's a specialist in video production and video strategy. So if you're a business and you're trying to think, does our business need video? The first person to talk to is this guy, because he will help you understand how to develop that video strategy, and he'll work with us, and then we'll get that video out to your desired audience. Just a little bit about us. We're an agile digital marketing agency. We use our own methodology to help our clients on a digital journey of growth. We're all about using our own methodology, which is pay, plan, implement, evaluate, repeat, to help clients understand which channels work for them through digital marketing and where to get the best ROI from. Some of the services that we support is obviously strategy, digital marketing, analytics, but also supporting creative design, website design and video design production, which is why we're talking about video today. I will now pass on to Andy, who will do the first part of the talk.
This one?
Yeah, right.
I have a bet. If I get the slides wrong way around, it costs me £1 every time, so if you can keep track. So this is me, Andy Green. I'm a video producer, as it says on there. My video production company is called Legus. It's been going since 1999. And my brand at the moment that I'm running with is Video Production Explained. To learn a little bit more about me, if you wish, you can find me on YouTube and on LinkedIn. I put these slides up really just to show a consistency in the look, because that's really what video production is all really about. So if you choose to follow me on there, please do so. This is my current website. I brought this because people on the last session were asking me about how we could actually use video, and there's so many simple tips and ways that we can do it. This is actually a screen grab of my website. So often where people are struggling for content, we already have produced website content that we can actually film. So this is just a quick overview. So that's a welcome video of myself. As you can see, I'm using SRT files. A lot of people now are watching video, not just watching video on other devices, but they're also watching videos on their phones. Therefore, they're actually reading video. A few video samples. So this is literally just a screen grab. No sound, very, very simple. I think it's Camtasia on a PC or in QuickTime Movie on a Mac. Very simple way of using video. Just record your screen and put it out there. There he is again. That's just like the closing section of my my contact page. Again, encouraging people to get involved, using video all times. So first touch point is a welcome video, and then the last touch point, a closing video, asking people, to actually take action. Very quick overview. I know a lot of people have attended last time, but these are the kind of clients that I work for. Right through from EasyJet, top left-hand corner, through to local schools there with local school kids. Again, we won't dwell on this, but they're the kind of clients that I'm working for. So what do? I help people explain their business and services. This is something that a lot of us actually struggle to do. It's really important that we communicate what we do. Ian, what is it that you do?
I help small business owners to grow and achieve their dreams.
So nice practice patter, nice answer. Steve, what is it that you do, sir?
I help businesses turn data into information so they can follow the trend.
Okay, so we've got these opening statements. I help. It's not that we are coaches. It's not that we're video producers. It's what we do for others. So I help people explain their businesses, so people understand what they do very, very simply. If you can almost like duplicate yourself, which you can now with video, that's a perfect way of communicating and repeating that same message. So just a quick recap on where we were on the last session. We talked about the first stage of video production. A lot of people think about video there's the red icon there, that it's all about cameras, it's all about filming, but it's not. It's all about the planning. Now the planning, you know, understanding your objectives, your audience, the logistics of making a video, right through to scripts, right through to directions and actors and all these kind of things. It's very, very complicated. Now, the purpose of the sessions is to educate you guys so you can actually embrace video, whether you choose to do it yourself through DIY or that you appoint a professional. So today's session is going to really concentrate on the making and the editing process. Now, to start off with, these are the kind of questions that you should be asking yourself. There's no point making a video if it's just all you want is to, you know, to create a pretty picture. The idea is that you want people to take action. You know, what is it that you want to achieve? You know, what's its purpose? What do you want more of? Is it more interaction? Is it more sales? Is it more visits to a site? Is it more footfall? Is it people to an event? You know, how are you going to deliver that message? Another question from last time's session was, how are you going to produce video? Is it always like a talking head? Or are there other options? You know, with still photography or animations? But it all starts off with, and this is, it'll fall more into place as a full story, is the key to this is the audience. Who is the audience? What's your name, sir?
Mark.
Mark, what do you do, Mark?
I'm in digital marketing.
Right, okay, and who's your typical audience? Who's the person that you're trying to attract?
Generally internal communications, so it's sort of, is basically our workforce.
Right, okay. Do you aim to search out people that make wedding cakes?
Not particularly, no.
Right. What about nuns on skateboards?
I haven't really thought about it.
Right, okay. So, but you are very clear of who you're trying to attract. So you know your audience, therefore you know potentially the message that you're trying to deliver to them to attract them.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. So again, how are you going to reach it? And again, we're going to cover this in the second session. How we're actually, where is this audience? We can identify the audience, but where do they live? We talked about the avatar, identifying the avatar. Now the guys that actually, the three guys that we concentrated on last time, they're not here, but we found an avatar, we gave them the name, and we had a Tom, was it Martin?
Yeah.
Martin, so Martin, we decided that he had a message to deliver. So we identified that individual as Tom or Sally. So just to recap on that, Ian, you know your typical client, is it a male or a female?
It's a male.
It's a male. How old is he?
48.
48, okay. Does he have a dog?
No.
Does it matter if he has a dog?
It'd be better if you had a dog.
It'd be better if he had a dog. Okay. Is he a local man or does he live abroad? He's a local man. So now we can now picture, you know, this guy that Ian's hoping to attract. That potentially is his avatar. When you're making videos, if you can talk almost like to that individual. So let's call what do you want to call your avatar?
Rob.
Sorry?
Rob.
Rob. So when we're making a video now, we know we're talking to Rob. It's very personalised. Therefore, our message is almost like on a one-to-one. It's like creating a corridor and only talking to Rob. It might be that you have a slightly tailored message to someone else for an event, or content might be different. Therefore, you have a different avatar. Give that person a different name. It's a lot easier then to communicate to that person. He's not here, but we had a young guy who was a yoga teacher. It turned out that his avatar or his potential audience was called Sky. We identified the audience, but then we started discussing pain points. What is it that people have issues with? So, Mark, was it? Mark, what's the issues that your clients have?
Actually, the big issue is communication, so not getting enough information of the right sort. So it's quite a challenge, actually, across quite a big distributed network.
Yeah, yeah. So from a communication point of view, that's a barrier.
Yes.
So by addressing that, almost like to locate that as an issue, you can then offer a solution. Is that right? Yeah. So we do that through questioning. So we ask the avatar, we ask our Robs, you know, the questions. What is it that what their issue is? And then we create answers. What it also does then is it isolates. If you were a yoga teacher, we're not interested in talking to Tom and Sally, so we're narrowing down who we need to talk to. We talked about the structure of a video. This is a typical 60-second video. We talked about starting with immediate engagement in the first 5 seconds with a question, following up by a piece about yourself. No one's interested, sadly Mark, no one's interested in you at that point. It's a very selfish audience. They're interested in what you're going to do for them. By asking that question, their reply is either a yes or a no. If it's yes, they'll stay. If it's a no, they're going to move on. It's all about engagement. Jumping to the other end, then it's all about what you want them to do. We're not making pretty pictures. We're creating video that we want people to take action from. Then again, a very simple structure, but it becomes quite mathematical. You've only got 15 seconds to talk about a benefit. Once you get into this discipline of creating content like that, it's quite easy to do. We also talked about not just making one video, but actually making multiple videos. The time that it will take Mark to make one, the time you've wrote it and you're all set up, you might as well make 5. The reason to make 5 is that once you've batched 5 videos, you can distribute them over a period of time, whether it be one a week, one a month, but you've got a bank. We also talked about in week 4, actually repeating the same process. So you've got a constant stream of video. So, making and editing of videos. There's more, but I've tried to simplify it into 2 areas. There's the moving image, there's talking head. There's where, you know, there's actually true presence of people in video, or in its simplest form, text-based. That might be animated, it might be static graphics, but it was a request again from the room on the last session, you know, if I don't want to appear in the video, is there an alternative? And obviously, yes, there is an alternative. As far as making videos yourself, you know, like I touched on with a DIY, you can do this now obviously with your mobile phone. Now I have an ebook. If you'd like to send me an email to that address, I'm happy to send it through. Just briefly, this is the kind of content that it covers. So it's talking about locations, framing, orientation. Very quickly, you know, when this is in his hands that we carry around, this is a phone. Its first action is a phone. When we were trying to make it into a camera, the simple thing is put it into flight mode. It stops it operating as a phone. Press that button, the little icon, and you turn it into a camera. Then you turn it over onto its right-hand side to have landscape. Always remember your eyes are in line, landscape. So it's just simple tips like that. Then rule of thirds about framing. One of the reasons for that is if you're to the side of the frame, it allows you then to see the location behind you. So it's just a few very simple tips, but if you want that, send me an email, I'll send it on. So, text-based styles. There's a great program online which is free called Canva, and there's templates that you can literally just populate. You can populate slides, put in your own content, put in your own images, then you can output it then as video content. If you wish, then you can add music and all these kind of things, but in its simplest form, that's it. Now at the other extreme, there's this program, which I'm sure that we're all fairly familiar with. PowerPoint. Most of us have done PowerPoint presentations, most of us have created decks or slides, and it couldn't be any simpler. You make slides in PowerPoint and you export it as a movie. You can add voiceovers, you can add music, you can control the duration, the file size, everything. It's very, very simple. So going back to the content, so now imagine now we're in PowerPoint, we're creating our presentation. You know, we start with a question. A little bit about yourself. It could be a logo, it could be just a brief line. I help clients, blah, blah, blah. Talk about your benefits. It's exactly the same structure, but it's now in its written form. It's not a talking head. There's no one appearing in the video. And obviously, everything that we do is aimed at our avatar. Now, a lot of people think that videos is all about cameras, and the foundation of any presentation, whether it be text-based or in picture, is the script. This is a script for a job that I've just done beginning of this year for Panasonic, and there's some key elements in there. As you can see there, we've written a script with my copywriter, and it tells me there that that's 3 minutes 37 seconds long to cover that content. Top left hand side, you know, that's the opening line. Right hand side is the shot list. That's the images that actually sit alongside the script. The piece in yellow is actually a piece to camera by someone, like an interview. So the non-yellow is a narrator. The yellow pieces are actually pieces people talking to camera. And then bottom right hand corner, just to give a visual representation, there's a very simple storyboard. All videos need to start at this level. You need to create a script. You know, what is your message? What do you want to convey? How are you going to engage? How are you going to introduce yourself? How are you going to talk about benefits? And how are you going to finish with a call to action? It's all about writing it down first. This is how I like to do my storyboards. Very, very simple, just on a 12 square grid. Can you touch your toes? He's not here, which doesn't matter, but he's not here. But we had a yoga teacher with us last time. Can you touch your toes? Quick opening question. Second slide, 9 ways. Third slide, logo. It's the same structure, call to action at the end. Storyboard, very, very simple. Always number your squares so that you can refer to it. Very, very rare when you make videos that you do it in a linear way. It's very rare that you start at the beginning. You might start with the scene number 7. That's why it's important to create a storyboard. Then as you build it, you can do it in its written form like I did it with the sketches, or you can start doing it with your true slides. So this is a quick, very, very brief video created in PowerPoint. We've all got PowerPoint. It's very, very simple. This is a template that I've used. I haven't created the graphics. I literally just changed the words. Is the sound going to play? That's PowerPoint. You can't believe that that's PowerPoint, right? Created in PowerPoint, simple template, outputted as a video, added a bit of music, that's it. Anybody struggling with that? It's dead easy. It's just dead easy. On the other side, the actual true making of a video, you know, what we all regard as video where people appear. This is what we call the rushes. These are all the scenes of a video I shot with a young lady down in Sheffield. I filmed it with my team, but she wanted to actually edit it herself. So I actually taught her how to use iMovie, sat with her to build her own video. Top left-hand corner there, stills. The rest of it is footage of her talking to camera. The rest of it is what we call a B-roll, which is like supporting shots. She's got a dog. She wants to introduce the dog. She wears weird socks. She wants to show the socks. She wanted to show her personality. She wanted to show her clients. She wanted to visit various locations. Now, when you look at that, that looks quite complicated. But that's just everything. We now need to put that in some form of order. This is the timeline in iMovie. Do we have any guys it's got iMovie? Yeah, so iMovie, fairly straightforward. It's just drag and drop. The green line is the music track. The one below is the voiceover. You just separate it. Very, very easy to use. Entry level stuff. There's tutorials that you can watch online to help you. So this is the video. So again, it's all about engagement. The way that she wanted to come across was to show her personality. That she's not just a graphic designer. That she has a dog that sits with her, that she wears these silly socks. You remember, that was part of the brief, and that's where we started. But remember the rule about engagement, about introduction, about what she's going to say, and then the call to action. Where's sound coming from? So that sounds a bit rubbish, sorry. But as you can see, she's talking to camera, separate location, that's in her front room, just a different perspective, her working on a Mac. She's talking to you directly, eye contact is straight at the viewer. This is a client that we put together. Using forms of communication that she uses with her phone. She's never been on camera before, this is her first time. Different location, this is what she does. She goes out and visits the clients at Costa's. She likes to do that. So we arrange with Claire. The logo, top left-hand corner, is always branded within the thing. I don't know who that is. It's not presenting it at best. So that's a personal video from her, talking direct to camera, therefore talking to you as if you were the viewer, and that's the structure. So a very simple one in PowerPoint and a slightly different approach, the way that you would make a normal video. I'm going to go back purposely, so this isn't going to cost me money. So as you can see, there are all the shots. The reason why it all came together is because it was all planned within a storyboard. So we know exactly what shot's going to go. We know we're going to finish with a call to action. We know we're going to visit Costa. We know we're going to talk to somebody called Claire. We know we're going to need a lemon and a lime, all these kind of things, because it's all in the script and it's all in the storyboard. So video editing software, top level, Final Cut and Premiere Pro. This is what my guys use. It's going to cost you a couple of £1,000 to use. I don't suggest that you invest in it. I would suggest, though, however, that you start an iMovie or your Windows Movie Maker concept. On the mobile phone, quick is fantastic. That's probably my personal favourite. Very, very easy to use. Filmora, again, very simple to shoot on your phone and then put on simple graphics. But as an entry level, that's what I would suggest that you use. So back to Sky, the avatar. We identify who they are. We find out their pain points. We answer their pain points. We find out their location, as in how we're going to communicate with them. We choose a video style. We follow the structure, the engagement structure. We write a script, very, very important. We record the message. That might be ourselves talking to a microphone. It might be that we appoint a voiceover artist. We must create a storyboard. And then we edit the video and then we publish the video. And that's when we then come on to what Manny's going to talk about. But it's all really about finding and targeting that audience. That's what video is all about. I think that's me. So we're taking questions later?
Yeah, we'll do questions on yeah. Sorry about the noise if you can hear the video, that's the loudest it goes to in terms of format. So now that you've created and edited your video, you need to start promoting that video content out online. And there's a number of ways you can do that. But the first element is channel selection. So what we'll do, we'll be jumping back and forth a little in terms of from the top, which was in part one, so what Andy's talked about in the first part of the presentation. So channel selection is key. The channel you choose offers you different various targeting options. So if you're choosing YouTube compared to Facebook, it's a different kind of ad format. They're two different channels. They allow you to do two different types of targeting options. The ones that we say you should consider as channels is obviously social media, but social media covers everything from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. You've got YouTube as a standalone. You've got display. So if you've ever gone on, let's say, skysports.com or onto the independent news, you see those little videos come in, little squares, that's display. And there's a technique which can be used across all these channels, which is what we call retargeting, which is where if you are driving people to your website, how best to communicate that call to action and get them back and get them to consider what they were looking at. So know who your audience is. we mention this a number of times because it's the most important aspect. When you know who your audience is, it helps you better identify which channels to use in terms of when promoting your content. Again, understanding your audience was covered in part 1. What you need to do is you profile your audience. So, you know, this is the most essential part of audience profiling. You need to understand which, obviously, channels are they using online digitally, what kind of content they're consuming. Obviously, in this instance, we're assuming that they're using video through social. They tend to be searching for questions and answers online, so searching answers into YouTube or into Google search. Then what you're able to do is split your campaign into different groups by targeting people by different elements, by their genders, by their job titles, by their demographics, by their age, by locations, so city and postcodes. And this is all key when it comes to promoting video and identifying it. So what we've done, for an example, is created a bit of a profile of a potential customer which we might follow all the way through. So imagine you know who your audience are. They've got a socioeconomic group of B, C1, C2. So they're young working professionals. The names are James and Lucy, not obviously Tom and Rob. They're aged between 24 and 34. They've got a working wage of £30,000 plus. They're quite tech savvy and usually buy high quality items online. So there you've got a bit of an audience profile. You know who they are. It helps you when it comes to selecting your channels in terms of identifying how to target that particular audience. As Andy said earlier, you want to talk to your audience directly. You want to limit the wastage of your budget by focusing on talking to that audience directly. The more you profile and the more information you get of your audience, the easier it allows you to, through different channels like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, is to talk to them directly so that you focus your budget, your content to your desired audience who is most likely to convert or take action on your actual properties. Then it comes to planning. So planning then takes us from creating and editing back to part 1. And the reason for that is it's a process. Before you plan any kind of promoted content on video, you need to have a strategy and a plan in place. So obviously, you need to understand what your objectives are as a business. So your objectives might be, I want to sell more, I want to generate more leads through my website. So Mark said, obviously, you want to target more customers. You might say, well, I want to drive more leads through my website, more contact us forms for the services that we offer. Then you need to think about how you're going to deliver those results. So we already know we're going to deliver that through video, and then who you're going to target. You've created your audience profile, which we've talked about. Then it's all about developing. You need to develop a media plan to achieve your objectives. And a media plan is breaking down those different channels we talked about in terms of channel selection and breaking out how you're going to target that based on your budget. The larger budgets you have, the more channels you can select and experiment with. The smaller budget you have, we'd say select maybe 1 or 2, 3 key channels and split your budget evenly, then adopt afterwards. So again, in the digital world, that's testing stuff like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then you create your video, which is what we've done, in line with each channel, add formats and create a specification. And that's the key. That's what we're going to talk about, because when you're planning your video campaign, it's good to understand your audience, it's good to create the video, but when it comes to actually creating and edit the video, it's not just a case of creating a PowerPoint. There are ad specifications that Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter tell you that you have to follow. And these specifications are like actual size, so it could be 1080p pixel, it could be a square format, so 600 by 600 pixels, and we'll get into that shortly in terms of different types of ad specifications within the campaign. So once you've got your plan, you know which channels you're going to select, you've understood your objectives, you've defined your audience perfectly, you've picked your channels, you're in the process of crediting, how do you split your budget? So the budget you have depends on the impact of your message and channel is going to have. Obviously, larger businesses tend to run larger budgets. We'll see some of the bigger when we go through some examples of types of businesses that promote. But if you have lower budgets, then there are some elements and tips that you can employ. So one thing is, if you're in Facebook, you can do something like time of day targeting. Time of day targeting means you can just run ads between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. only, every day of the week. So you could target people when they finished work and got home and they're socializing on their mobile phone and Facebook. You can just target them between 6 to 8. Again, if you're on LinkedIn, you might want to target them in the morning, you know, or in the afternoon. Once they've got after all the meetings, target them between 1 p.m. after lunch to 5 p.m. and do time of day targeting. What that means is your ads will only run at that time, but it also means you're not wasting budget to run your ads 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Another thing is local targeting. So if how many people here just focus on leads or local customers when they're targeting? So Ian, I know Lee from York Telecoms are based in Wakefield, so you want to cover the Wakefield area. So taking York Telecoms as an example, you might just want to focus on the WF, LS, BD postcodes only. And channels like Google and Facebook allow you to do that as part of their targeting techniques. So you can say, I just want to run ads in Leeds or the Greater Leeds area or in the West Yorkshire area, which what that means is then you're not having to push your budget out and limit it and broaden it to such a national reach when you know your customers are all based in LS postcodes. So again, good tactics to avoid wastage by focusing locally. How should you split your budget? So if you've picked your 3 channels, you've got Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, we say start by splitting it evenly. But then when we talk about our next topic, which will be measurement in part 3, we'll show you how that budget actually changes based on performance, data and analytics and engagement, and also the most important, which is conversion point, whether it's a cost per lead or sales and site. What happens is by the end of the campaign, your budget's already changed. So it's split equally, let's say £200 on each channel, but by the end you realize actually YouTube is driving more effective engagement and quality leads for me, so I need to upweight my budget out of Facebook and put it into YouTube. So you split your budget equally, but you optimize your campaigns by the end of the campaign. So what you realize is you start equally, but by the end of the campaign, you realize that one channel's always spent the best because that's the one that's delivered the best results. But we'll talk about that in analytics in part 3. So here's an example of budget and reach. So just to give you an example, we promoted this event. We spent £100 over 10 days just targeting the Leeds area, targeting business owners, people with specific job titles, marketing directors in Leeds. We spent £100 over 10 days, and it actually tells you what your audience is going to be. So, you know, there's more than 100,000 people on LinkedIn, but based on targeting just the Leeds local area, focus on business owners and decision makers with key job titles such as marketing directors, business owners, we're able to actually hit an audience size of about 100,000. And we're able to split our budget over 10 days at £10 each, and we ran that over a 10-day focus. So if you have limited budgets and you only want to spend £100, you can still target up to 100,000 people that will view that ad. So you get some good reach. So it gives you an example of how to break it down. And that's why audience and profiling your audience is key, because you don't just want to go into LinkedIn, Facebook and Google and say, I just want to target leads. Who are you going to target? What's their age group? What's their gender? What's their job titles? You know, what's their seniority? How much do they earn? So if you want to target, you know, the marketing directors, they're going to have marketing director job titles like marketing manager, head of marketing, internal communications, etc. Break down your profile specifically so that you match your audience ideally. So when you're delivering that created, edited video, you hit your ideal audience, and that way it's more effective. And we had a good turnout at the first event. So once you've picked your channel, you've done your plan, you've worked with Andy and myself to develop that plan, which channels you're going to do. It's all about building a campaign. And when you build a campaign within different channels, it gives you different objectives. So that's why understanding your business objectives at the start is key. So here's some of the types of campaigns you can run across the channels we identified. So you can run ads that drive conversions. So if you're an e-commerce website and you want to drive t-shirt sales or sock sales, etc., conversion points is actually a good campaign to run. There's some companies like your bigger brands that just focus on brand awareness. So let's say your Coca-Colas, your John Lewis's of the world, they will focus more on brand awareness and reach. So again, if you just want to mass market to a large audience, you might use brand awareness and reach. Then you've got lead generation. So that's using video ads to drive a lead gen ad format. So, you can actually pre-qualify that contact us form within the platform or onto your website and focus ads on that. You can use existing data. We talked about retargeting on lookalikes. We have a bit of information about that already on our site, but we'll send some links out at the end. So retargeting is anyone who visits your website and hasn't converted. How do you then get them back to your site to complete an action? An action could be a purchase or a lead gen form or a telephone call through to your company. Lookalikes is essentially taking your existing email database and uploading that to channels like LinkedIn and Facebook, and what it does is it profiles new customers for you that hit the same profile elements such as job titles, income, industries in which they work in, their interests, the likes, the groups that they follow. These channels will profile and give you a brand new audience of your existing customers. You can do it to target new customers only, so it will take away anyone who follows your pages on LinkedIn or Facebook or is a subscriber to your YouTube channel, so it will ignore those people from your campaign. You can drive people in store, so you can do location-based ads, or you can do it based on education, which is what we really focus on. So you've got your campaign objective. Now you need to look at different types of targeting techniques in terms of placing your video. And there's more than one available, but what we've done is, because each channel, such as Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all have different targeting techniques. So what we've done is to simplify this as best as we can into 3 key areas. So you can run it by audience. So this is understanding who consumes your product. So obviously that's mainly demographic and interest targeting. So people, so take a mark, for example, it would be targeting people by their demographics such as age, their income, their job titles. So these are basic demographic elements that you can use. If it's interest targeting, it could be people that follow, let's say if you want to focus on specific sectors, so I want to target marketing directors that work in tech companies, you can start looking at tech elements. The more you know about your customer, the better, because you can start adding that within the different channels and start selecting that interest and behavioral and demographic targeting with each element. Search is key. So how many of you know that actually Google owns YouTube? Did anyone know that? So Google owns YouTube. YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world because it uses Google data. And what you can really do on YouTube, which people don't realize, and I'll show you this as a great example when we get into some of the ad formats, is you can use Google search data to target people with video on YouTube. And the way that works is if you've typed in on Google, for example, how to create a video, and you've landed on someone's website or you've searched for that topic, when you're watching Rihanna's video or Billie Eilish's new video, or you're watching a movie trailer, or you're watching some kind of comedy video on YouTube, you tend to get different types of ads that come in stream or pre-roll, and it's not necessarily related to the content you're watching. So if you're watching a music video, you're not getting a music product. I end up getting ads from Wix, which is a website creation company, because it's relevant to me. I've searched for website related terms on Google. It's highlighted my history, and from that it's then targeted me because it shows this person searched for these kind of topics, and we're going to search them this kind of ad before they consume content. So when we come back to actually audience and profiling, actually targeting your audience, understanding your objectives and how to maximize your budget, you can target your audience by what they're searching for online and on Google, which is a really, really good technique. So if you want to target people that are just searching for accountancy products or telecom products, etc., or data elements, just focus on those keywords and you can run your ad to your specific audience again to that, such as intent or keywords. And then there's data. As business owners, as individuals, you have so much data on your website of your existing customers, people that visit your website. You need to be using this data to target customers. And that's what we were talking about in terms of retargeting and lookalike targeting. It's the most effective form of actually identifying your user. If you know someone has been to your website but hasn't completed a purchase, they have got to your website by either searching for a term, seeing an ad either through PPC or social media, or directly going to your website because they've seen your brand out there or your message out there. So if they're not completing an action, why? How do you get them to complete that contact us form? How do you get them to complete that purchase? And retargeting is key, because all it is a simple Facebook pixel, Instagram pixel that's placed on your site. it automatically gathers a data pool of those audiences, and when they're on LinkedIn or Facebook, it will deliver just to those audiences an ad. So it won't go to anyone else. It'll just go to those people, its profile, that visited your website, and ad. Now just consider how effective that could be. And if you're following the create edit process and you're answering questions based on the content they've consumed on your site, it can be very, very, very effective. And likewise with lookalike targeting, so effective. Take your existing purchased and converted customers and just profile new ones that look exactly like it. It's good techniques to use. So audience search and data is the way we break it down into targeting techniques. And then you've got ad specification, which is key because this directly relates to when the company or the team you're working with, following that process of creating ads, you need to follow certain ad specifications. And what do these ad specifications look like? So, for example, these are the video guidelines taken directly from Facebook. You can see there's a lot of guidelines there and there's a lot of stuff to look at. So if you're creating a video, let's say using PowerPoint, and you want to feature in, for example, Facebook stories, then the actual recommended spec, where is it, for Facebook stories, is actually 1080 by 1920. So you've got the pixels already in terms of the size frames for Facebook. So when you click onto page orientation and page dimensions on PowerPoint, you put in those pixels and it'll re-square your page to that. So you can create a normal video, but then resize that page and recreate that video to fit that content into those sizes. But you've got different elements. So if you need some to be 1280 by 720, you need some to be 600 by 600, which is a square. And we'll show you why that's key, because we're now going to go through some different actual video examples by placement to show you why you need to create ads by channels. So once you've identified your channels, you need to create them to different ad specifications. Otherwise, when you create that video and you give it to your media agency, they're going to come back and say, no, recreate this in this format. So as long as you know and identified your channel from the beginning, this element comes part of the create and edit element, because that team or that agency, your in-house team, needs those ad specifications when creating that, editing that video. That's why planning is key. So when you do your media plan, you've identified your channels. It's our job to tell the video team that, right, these are the specifications you need to work for to actually get that video on that channel, right? And what you'll notice is that some actually have length issues. So if you're going to run a normal video within the feed on Facebook, your length can be up to 120 minutes. So that's the length you have. Obviously, people aren't going to watch a 120-minute video on Facebook. They tend to be about 5-10 minutes at the actual max, but it gives you that option. But if you want to be in the Facebook story, which is a different dimension of story, you can only have 10 to 15 seconds. So if you've got a 60-second video, you need to look at condensing that down to 10-15 seconds. So focus on the question, the benefit, and the call to action, and you have to take elements out of that. So that's where animated videos can be very, very, very effective. So we're just going to go through some ad examples. So the one on the left, the first one, is a Facebook in story. So if you get your app out and you've got your stories on the top and you open a story and flick through your friend's stories, eventually you'll get a sponsored ad. And you know it's sponsored because it'll say sponsored in the top left. It gives you a call to action, so you click on the learn more button, it takes you directly to the website, but you're still on Facebook. So if you close that page down, you go back to the ad. And then it'll move on to the next story ad. And then a few stories later, you'll get a new ad in story format. Now, the best elements is that you can actually use a square ad within there, so I wouldn't actually recommend that format, but I couldn't find a format that I'd use the full story ad. So that's a really effective way. So that one where you have to create a 1080 by 1920 ad format, you've got your story. This is a 600 by 600 square ad. On the left, again, Disney Plus, advertiser to me because I'm a big Marvel fan, so this is why I get served this ad. So again, it's a square ad, the music's over, and it's just a quick, 5 to 10 second video just promoting their offer for the new stream, and it comes within the feed as you're looking through your Facebook profile. So that's 2 formats, but you've got even more. Now, how many of you guys actually watch video on YouTube? Just by show of hands. We all spend a lot of time on Facebook. I do it, and you'll know I do it because I end up watching stuff like this, and a lot of content and Big Bang Theory comes up on mine. So these are examples from my phone. So as you're looking at a video, it takes you off Facebook and takes you into almost like an audience network where you can watch different videos one by one. So the one on the left, we're just going to give you an example of, is a video's watching and then an in-stream ad. So it tells you an ad is starting soon, and whilst you're watching a video, an ad will appear. Now I get Novarize, which is an audience and influencers tool, because it's relevant to me, because I work with identifying audiences. This is something they want to target to me, create market impact. They want to sell me this product so I can use for my clients, so it's relevant. Once the video ends, you go back to watching your video, and you're left with a little bit of an ad format which you can leave a message and close that and use that. So again, you need to be actually using that that's a 10-15 second video that we talked about in stream that you can actually use. This is a different ad format because it's within in-video feed. So let's say I'm watching a video and I scroll down. Again, Monday.com sponsored. Again, targeted to me because it's telling me as a business owner, I need to manage my employees' times better, but we've got that covered. So you will always see these ads in different elements. So within Facebook already, there's 4 different ad formats we've shown you. You've got your in-story ad, you've got your in-feed ad, you've got your in-video stream ad, and you've got your in-video feed ad. So just consider you need to create videos for these different elements and these different lengths to target to your desired audience, and they're all using those different platforms to do it. Now on Instagram, there's only 2 real formats you can use. You can use the in-feed, again 10 to 15 seconds. So again, I was target Jaguar. I actually don't like Jaguar, so I don't know why I was getting that ad. So again, you can click on the call to action, take you to the exact page. But what happens is when you actually come off that page, it loads the ad from where you left, so you don't actually lose any time. And the whole point of these ads is to get people to your website, but not to take you off Instagram or Facebook either. So that's why having a mobile optimized site is key for your business, because you want to make sure that when they click on that call to action to your website, they can easily process that information and then go back to consuming content on social media. So again, this is my phone. So in my stories, I found an example. So as you're clicking through the different stories on Instagram, again, I was targeted by Monday.com across 2 different channels. So they're using different channels to target to me. Again, I went onto the website, had a look at what they can do. Again, very mobile optimized, easy for me to give my information right at the top. So make sure you consider those elements as well as part of your ad format. And then again, when you go back to Instagram, you can just continue watching the feed, and then you can actually move right to the next story and more actual ads will come in. But look at how that's a full phone screen. So if you have your phone, that's why ad specification is key, because some people want square phones, but that's a full phone image screen, so the full actual element of your phone. So maximize the audience platforms and devices that they're using. Right, YouTube, so we've picked a couple of channels here, have different ad specs. So there's 6 different types of videos you can do. I get hammered by YouTube with ads all the time. We're going to go through some examples that are really cool. The key ones are skippable video ads and non-skippable ones, which are very annoying because you can't click the skip button, so you have to watch the full video. Then you've got non-skippable ads that come within the actual video content that you're consuming. So again, you need to follow these ad specifications and look at how different they are to Facebook. So when it comes to channel and media planning, you need to make sure if YouTube is part of your channel mix, that you have this information given to the company or agency that's creating your video for your in-house team, because you know, if you're doing a video, it can be no more than 15 to 10 seconds. Skippable ads around about 5 seconds, and look at the different spec sizes for videos that come up. And you can place them on desktop or mobile again. So here's some examples. On the left, I'm going to show you a pre-roll video. So that's when you open a video and you get a 6-second ad. So I'm not a big gambler. I'm not with Bet365, but I do consume a lot of sports content and like watching boxing fights and WWE, which you can actually bet on. So that's why I get targeted that, because if I'm watching sport content, they want me to bet on it. So a bit unethical, I think, from a Bet365 point of view. But again, a 5-6 second ad that comes pre-roll. Bet365 has got nothing to do with WWE Now TV. But what they're doing is they realize that I watch sport, I've searched for something, and they've delivered me the ad to think that I might be an example consumer. Now, this is my home screen. It's very complicated. I haven't planned anything on my phone, so don't judge me. When you open YouTube, you get an ad, a promoted ad straight away right at the top. So you know it's an ad because it says ad in yellow. So it comes across as an organic video, and this is a 15-minute short film, but actually it's an ad. and you don't really notice that. So before you know, you're already consuming ads on YouTube without really noticing that it's an actual ad. So this is a really effective format to do that. Again, I watch a lot of BS on YouTube, like how to play carols on piano. Not that good, I'm still practicing. Got some more examples. So in feed, again, as you're scrolling through YouTube, before you know it, you get delivered an ad. So again, you know, different kind of content. That is an ad. So again, it's a 7-minute video, but it's actually an ad, and following that process of, hi, this is a question about first-time buyers. Are you a first-time buyer? Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm following that process, but with the YouTube, it's organic. It can be a longer format, and it comes up through. This is probably the most annoying ad, which is in-stream ads. So I'll be watching something, and then 2 ads will appear. You've got a short ad, which is unskippable, and then straight after that, you get an ad about me investing into Plus 500, which I don't want to do, which you can skip after 5 seconds. So again, these come in whilst you're watching content on YouTube. So consider that you're watching an ad, and then you know the ad appears and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, the Sky One is relevant to me because I'm a big motorsport fan. I watch a lot of content around F1. F1's coming up, so it's perfect for Sky to be advertising to me because I search a lot of things and I type in skysports.com F1 within Google, so they know that, so they target that ad to me to let me know that I can watch it on Sky. So again, some really good examples. So it shows you the different types of formats. And again, as Andy says, you turn your phone landscape as well to watch videos when you're watching on YouTube as opposed to just portrait. And again, I was watching that video landscape, and those videos were optimized in different ad formats and to different ad specifications to deliver that ad to me at different formats. Again, one was 5 seconds, one was a skippable 60-second video, different lengths, different formats in different locations. So now that you've created your ad, it's all about, and you've targeted your audience, you've selected your channel, you've done all your budgeting, you've done all your planning, you understand your audience, it's all about beginning to promote video content. So you start to run your ads like we did with a small budget across a few days to see how that performs across to your ideal target audience. But based on your budgets, you need to review performance through analytics. And that's something we'll cover in part 3. So to summarize and to cover off what Andy's already done, identify your audience, that's what we've talked about so far. Identify their pain points in terms of understanding what kind of content to put out, tailor your message to that audience, choose the channel, then you make the video, because your channel selection comes before you start creating video content, so you know how to create and different types of ad specifications, video specifications to create, to understand how to adapt your budget for that. Then you build your campaign and select the key targeting techniques that we've gone through within those different channels, and then you set your budget equally and you run your campaign. And then you measure. But we're going to cover that in part 3 because we've just talked about creating, editing and promoting. So our next event, which we'll show at the end on the 2nd of April, we'll talk about how to measure the impact of your promoted video content, where we'll go through different analytics channels, how to show engagement, what different conversion points to look at, and discuss other elements. Are there any questions for myself and Andy at this time for what we've gone through today? That means we either did an amazing job or it went through over everybody's head. It's either one of the two. Does anybody have any specific questions about anything that we've gone through? Ian?
It seems to have gone through a hell of a lot of different formats of video.
Yeah.
I haven't realised that if we were to shoot a video with Andy, we'd have to consider several different platforms. Is that absolutely the case, that working with Andy, then we consider each of these?
This is why me and Andy have partnered together. So Andy is a video producer, director, we're a media agency. It works hand in hand. We have to work with Andy. We're not specialists in that, but what we do is we say to Andy, right, at the beginning, we'll go into a client and we'll say, right, we know you want video. They say they want an animated video. We'll say, what's your strategy? What's your objectives? And then we'll say, right, who's your audience? We'll go away, do the research. It's actually, your audience is on LinkedIn. They're searching for stuff on Google, so we'll use YouTube and LinkedIn as the 2 channels we're going to run. Then Andy will go out and produce that video, but it's our job to give those specifications from LinkedIn and YouTube to Andy and say, right, we're going to split the budget this way. You need to create us video in these specification, to these dimensions, and to these lengths. So he knows how to best create and edit that video to maximize the client's budget. So you might have a large video that goes on your website, but then we'll need the shorter videos to place across the different formats, because you all as individuals consume media across YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's our job to target and place those ads into different formats for you. And as you can see, we never even went through LinkedIn, we never went through Twitter, we never went through TikTok, we didn't even go through display. There's so many different ad formats to consider, because Facebook and all these channels, they want to give you more and more options to do it. Any other questions?
It is a bit overwhelming. You know, this is what we do, but often a lot of people are surprised literally by the structure, by the format that you have to fulfill. But in its simplest form, think about it that, you know, you find your audience, you find out where that audience sits, where they're active. Then if they're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is going to be a format. You choose a format. You choose the style of ad that you want to produce. That could be just one size. And that's all you need to worry about. You don't need to do everything. It's just that we have to explain. That's the simple version. So don't be overwhelmed by you have to do everything. To a point, you only really need to do one, because you've identified your audience, what channel, and what format that you're going to produce it in. It's just that there's obviously so many produced. I think my personal fallback is the square format.
Yeah, square format is quite popular, and as you can see, you can actually use the square format in stories. So one ad format specification can be used across different areas. So that square ad can be in feed and within video feed, so when you're looking through videos. And if it's 5 to 10 seconds or 10 to 15 seconds, you can then place that ad within stories. So you can select multiple options, but ideally maximize the screen in front of your audience. They're looking at a square. Is it better to show them a full ad across, or is it better to show them a square? Maximize the screen space that you have to identify your audience, because this is the platform and device that they're using and social media. So just consider that once you know your audience, how best to actually maximize that space, because you've only got that much space to deliver a message within a video, whether it's animated or screen. So maximize your length and your format as best as you can. But as we showed, all those videos had links to their websites, but they were mobile optimized. So that's other elements you need to consider. That if you are driving people to your website, make sure it's not an unresponsive mobile site, so they have a bad experience and they just leave and the bounce rate is quite high. You need to make sure your site's optimized to drive traffic to them. That's how you can improve your conversions and metrics, and we'll discuss that in part 3 on the second.
One of the if you're on Facebook, I can't remember, when you're watching a video in feed,
yeah,
after a little while it says continue watching, and it tries to bounce you out, which annoys the tits at me, and I don't follow it. Is that a mandatory time, or is it a percentage of video length time?
Actually, this comes across Instagram a lot. So if you're watching a video on Instagram and you're following a particular page, like for me it's Mr. Beast or something, which is an example I gave. If you haven't clicked into that video and you're still in feed, it will come up saying continue watching, because it's like, have you just put your phone aside? But when you continue watching, it opens the video to full screen. That's what it wants you to do. It wants you to be engaged within the video so that you're still within platform. It's only been launched since summer last year that they started doing that. Plus Instagram are taking away likes and metrics in terms of seeing how many people have viewed that or liked that video. But yeah,
Do you know if it's a specific time, or is it a percentage of time?
It's a percentage of time. So if you've got a 5-minute video, it'll pop up after a minute. If you've got a 60-second video, it'll pop up after like 20 seconds. So again, the length of video matters within Facebook. But what we see a lot with clients is, no more than really 60 seconds. 60 seconds is like the perfect, and that's why, Andy's created that format for you to follow 60 seconds. But like we showed you, a lot of those videos were 5 to 10 seconds. So how do you get that message across within such a short space of time? And that's something that, when it comes to understanding your audience, your objectives, and creating and editing video, that's Andy's job. Our job is then to make sure that video gets placed out and reaches your desired audience afterwards.
I think it has become a lot harder to actually capture audience through video, only because there's so much of it around. You know, and if you have a message and you don't have something that's powerful from offset, people don't watch it just because of the amount of it. It's interesting with the PowerPoint cards. In my experience, and I'm no fundi, but we've noticed that if you have words or anything that seems too advertising, people don't tend to, because it's just another advert. Where there's more engagement, I have found, if there's people, because people are nosy, it's like a big brother, we want to see what's going on. You know, so if you start with sometimes, well, if the message is powerful from the beginning, I tend to find that people don't have an interest. And if you have a look on LinkedIn, so many people trying to get the message across, you're getting crazy kind of formats and people just doing the weirdest things to get that initial attention.
Yeah.
So it is becoming harder unless you kind of know what you're doing, or ultimately the message that you want to get out there.
It is, but because the message is tailored, because it's delivered in those key 4 to 5 seconds, if you're interested, I think it's a very simple thing. It's either a yes or a no. And like you said, and I agree, the platforms are saturated with video, a lot of good content, but equally a lot of poor things. But they're there for a purpose. If you are the target, you will engage. All the ones that are annoying you, to a point, weren't for you. Therefore, that's the annoyance. And they're the ones often, you know, we always remember, you know, the dark skies. But the one that was targeted to you, you know, you're looking for a hotel in Rome, and it came up, that's the perfect delivery. But just the nature of the platform, the nature of how we engage, is what we will notice the chaff as well that's been delivered. Going back to what you said about a lot of people might engage more with the face, especially if it's a personal thing that you're delivering. But by using an SRT file, you know, an actual caption as well, you're hitting them with both, you know, with an image, sorry, a visual image, but also the written word. 40% more engagement. So that's the trick. But it's all really about delivering that first hitting message. You know, we've all seen it, you know, the old sex trick that you put sex, but oh, what's this? You know, it's the hook. They've done it with cats, they do it with dogs, they do it with puppies, all these kind of things. There's a hook. But it all depends on the audience. I don't particularly like cats. I won't watch cat videos, but they're there. But I know they're there and I ignore them. But if it's something that's going to target me for the thing that I'm interested in, I will remember that ad and I potentially could have taken action.
Does it also, is it the timing as well? Because obviously 60 seconds is a very powerful, short, concise message. But if, for example, you put something onto Facebook, it says ideally it should be 3 minutes. I find 3 minutes really long. What is the ideal? Is it according to platform that's...
Well, again, there's restrictions.
Yeah, there are restrictions with different ad formats, but that's why when, you know, Andy was talking about creating multiple videos, create a big video and then create smaller versions of it to maximize your video production and budget. And that way you can test different elements. You can test the 60-second video against a 10 to 15-second video within different platforms. And you've got your 5-second videos. You can do the full 60-second video on YouTube, which can be skippable, but then, you know, run a 6-second video that's unskippable. And then what you'll see is, and how to measure the impact of that is analytics, which is what we talk about on the 2nd of April, is to show you, right, which video is working, which video is driving traffic to the site, which is getting most views at 25%, 50%, 75%, 100% of the view, you know, and demographics of that come within platforms in terms of, was it the age group that we were targeting, and, you know, how many conversions or leads or, you know, actual call to actions were clicked through to that. So how many people clicked through to the website, how many people completed the form on the site. It's all trackable. So again, you just need to then look at analytics to see which one is. But I said start by creating video for different formats and different lengths, and that's why we say split your budget equally across channels, but also split your budget equally in terms of different ad formats and specifications, because then it's most effective.
I know I've addressed the budget quite a few times this morning. I know it's quite taboo to talk about money, but as a startup, I'm thinking about my budget for the month. Obviously, advertising is important, but at the same time, how much would I be expecting to pay between the hours of 7 and 8 on YouTube for a 6-minute video on YouTube?
So all that data within Facebook and LinkedIn comes up. So as I went through, we just went £100 over, you know, 12 days. And that was actually driving people to the Eventbrite page to sign up to the event, first one, because we know to come to the first one, they're more likely to follow the event on through to the 3. So when you type in when you go into Facebook, whether it's Facebook Business Manager or LinkedIn Campaign Manager, and you start building out your profile. So what you'll start with is demographics. So do you want to target male, female, right? What location do you want to target? Is it UK, is it Spain, or is it Leeds? That's to the city. So you might run a campaign in Leeds to females that have a high job seniority, such as directors, owners, within the following business sectors, which might be accountancy firms and law firms, with the following job titles, which might be managing director, business owner, finance director, etc. And then it'll give you an audience size, but it'll also tell you how much it will cost an impression, a video view, but a cost per click as well. Because essentially you create a video, but you create a link at the bottom for them to click through to your website or click through to a lead gen form, because that's the whole point of running the ad, is to get some kind of call to action at the end of the video to do it. So it tells you how much to pay. Facebook is a lot cheaper. You can achieve a cost per view and a cost per click of around about 2 to 3p cost per view, or like a 10p to 25p cost per click. On LinkedIn, so much more expensive because the audience is so much more valuable. We give so much more information about ourselves within our businesses, the companies we work for, the sectors, our job titles, our contact details. So the information is more valuable, so you end up paying around about £3 plus for a cost per click. But then on YouTube, a cost per view can come in at 1p. So, but the more narrowed you are to your audience, the higher it's going to cost. But at least that means you know you're targeting the right audience. The cheaper it is, I always say you've gone too broad. When it's quite expensive for a cost per click or a cost per view, what you tend to see is a higher click-through rate to the site. You see a higher video view rate with the content, and you see a higher conversion rate, which is people clicking through to a website and people actually completing a conversion when you define your audience. And that's why defining your audience is key, because if you only have £100, £200 to spend within a month, you don't want to be targeting too many people. You want to narrow that audience down so that that video hits. It's not about volume of views. Just because you get 100,000 views isn't great. It's better to get 5,000 views and 20 conversions than 100,000 views and only 5 conversions. Because if you only get 5 conversions, you don't know actually how detailed your audience are. So when we talk about analytics, we'll talk about how to understand your audience and how better to improve your targeting for the next campaign that you run. Any other questions?
Just going back to what you were saying about durations, there's not one size fits all. Everything is down to the audience. That person, Tom, Sally, Sky, whatever we call her. Just to give you an example, I've just completed some videos for Selby College to appeal to their students. So students, they're in that transition that they're making a decision, are they going to York, they're going to Selby or Pontefract. Those videos, the ads, they run for 9 seconds, maximum 9 seconds, because they're aimed at a young audience, likely to be on a mobile, walking with their friends, and we've got a grabber like that. The multiple videos, so the different messages. Have you made a decision about college? Would you like to go to York? Why are you going to Pontefract? Those are kind of very simple questions. Very simple question, very simple call to action, very simple branding. That's for that audience. We know that a 16-year-old might choose to go to Selby, but the decision maker potentially is the guardian or the parent. So that's then a different audience. That audience is a different video, that sits onto that's on their website, it's a different length, and it's a 3-minute video that tells you about the courses. Do you want to go down a vocational route, an apprentice route? But that's aimed at the parent, knowing that the young person's there present, but it's a different audience. So we've used the same technique to deliver 2 different messages. See what I mean? So it all really depends on your audience. There's no set rule.
Again, if you want to contact us for more information, you can email us at Hello Video Production Explained or us at Media Portable Digital. You can visit our websites. And again, all this content is on our site right now. So if you want to download that presentation, it should be on the website now. Just go to bobbledigital.com/video impact. You don't need to give your details or anything. You can just download, and then within a couple of days we'll have the full talk of this video uploaded, so you can come back and listen to the questions we've answered and what we've talked about in a bit more detail out there. Right, our next event and our final event to summarize and bring this all to a close is part 3, where we talk about how to measure the impact of video content. So we've covered audience, strategy, creating and editing and promoting your video. Now we need to understand, right now that you've run that video, how do you measure the impact in terms of has it delivered? Have you targeted the right audience? Have you delivered on your objectives? What ROI has it delivered in terms of for you as a business? That's Thursday, the 2nd of April, again at the same time here again at Santander's Work Cafe.